All right, welcome to the party, pals. GRC Mafia. Right out of the gate, definitely here to break down barriers, foster collaboration and community, working towards a more secure future for everybody. Definitely a learning and growing environment. Especially during this session, I definitely want people to feel comfortable to come up on stage if you would like to do so. And if you do not have to turn on your video. Just turning on your mic is more than enough. I definitely want everybody to feel comfortable to ask questions, share resources, especially like your your other social media profiles and so forth as well. The best place to do that is inside of our Discord server. So if you hop into our Discord server, you can share your different links, resources, and your personal social media profiles in the live chat channel. We also do have an introduction channel as well. I went ahead and threw that in chat there. One of the biggest things is just don't share anything that you don't want to be public. If you happen to do so, reach out to me on Discord, LinkedIn, or you can reach me at contact@studygrc.org. Now, during this session here, I'm going to actually drop a stage link now. So if you guys would like to come up, you're more than welcome to. These sessions are designed to for us to like talk a little bit more about these HITRUST video series. In further depth. So if anybody had questions or you guys wanted to talk about a particular topic of it or dig into a particular topic a little bit more, that's kind of like what this series is designed for. So starting today is going to be part 1 of 5 at Thursdays at 11 a.m. this time, going over, just reviewing some key takeaways and further discussing this HITRUST series. And I'll pull that up here in just a moment. But then also, if you guys aren't familiar, B-Dubs also has her website, britwhite.io, and also doing an ongoing CISSP study group. And then, of course, we have our website as well, which also includes our resources page, too. Welcome to the party, pal, AB. Yeah, I saw AB and Cam pop in. Bam. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and transition over here. Let me go ahead and pull this up real quick. So this is the series that we're actually talking about. So I'm going to drop this link as well. So this series here, we started to go through and actually read the assessment handbook from HITRUST. And then we also came across this resource here where they did 5 videos regarding the assessment handbook. And so this very first video here, session 1 of 5, is just introduction and overview. And they give a really good little overview right there on that screen there. Number 2, session 2 is scoping. So scoping and assessment. Part 3 is going to be using the work of others in a HITRUST assessment. Part 4 is testing and evidence. And part 5 is reporting and maintaining a HITRUST certification. And so all of these are freely available. You can, just watch them in your free time. They're ad-free. You don't even have to sign in or register on the HITRUST website to watch these videos. And so just a heads up, like next week for session 2, what we would be looking at is the scoping a HITRUST assessment. And this video is 43 minutes in length. And so we're not watching this. This is supposed to be like the prerequisite. So check those out, bring questions and so forth. And then we could talk about it at further depth or otherwise. This very first session was pretty straightforward. So did you guys have any questions? Did you guys have your takeaways? Did anybody want to come up on the stage and talk about it a little bit further? I think AV might be trying to grab his badge already. You'll have to grab so tonight we do have Cam joining us regarding MITRE Atlas. And then we'll be doing a little presentation regarding Atlas, which is like an AI framework from MITRE. And then we'll be talking more about like AI risk and GRC and so forth tonight during our primary meeting. Welcome to the party, pal, Cam. And so I did drop this in the chat. And then also another key resource here as well is the actual assessment handbook. You can download it in PDF, or you could just watch the website, go through the website itself. That's what we were working on until we found this other series. And so I'm going to go ahead and pull this up. Let's see. So then, like, some of the main parts that were in this intro video is talking about like the different types of assessments and certification. So like Ryan had mentioned to us a couple weeks back regarding R2, I1, E1, and so forth, and what the differences are between that. Also, the fact about like HITRUST with maintaining integrity. So any assessments that are submitted to HITRUST through the MyCSF, which is required in order to obtain certification, has to follow this assessment handbook. It has to be in full compliance with the assessment handbook. That's like their roles, their ROI, or rules of engagement, ROE. So yeah, pretty important book. I think it comes out to like 270 pages or something along those lines. And then there is also a HITRUST risk management handbook as well. So they do split those two up. So talking about the different frameworks that they actually have, the different certifications that are included, and then also just about how the process kind of works. So it aims to ensure clarity and consistency across assessments, regardless of the assessor or organization involved. So if you get certification, then you meet those requirements. So regardless of the assessor or org. So one of the things that Ryan did mention during his presentation was, I think like roughly, I think it was like 19% of assessments are actually declined, which is pretty alarming, really. So when you think about it, nearly one out of five assessments submitted for certification are denied, which can definitely be costly. And it seems like primarily what they note for that is the actual assessor. Issues from the actual assessor itself. Welcome to the party, pal Cam.
Hey, how's it going? I had a
Awesome.
question listening through it. I just didn't quite understand. Maybe you had some clarity or just kind of talk. So they talked about rejecting a non-compliant assessment. There was something in there where they were talking about like there would be something issued, like a written warning, I think it was issued for non-compliance. I was trying to figure or understand that in my head, like how that would work. Like, is that just you have a non-compliant assessment and after a little while, like there's no effort made to become compliant? So they would, I was curious on that wording, the rejection of a non-compliant assessment.
Yeah, so my understanding is, and that was actually one of the questions when we had Ryan too, is if an assessment is declined, which like nearly one out of five are, then it's just pushed back to the organization and they basically say, hey, this doesn't meet our requirements. You guys have to fix this, and we'll catch you guys next time. Now, if there's multiple, if like this exact same assessor keeps screwing up, because usually what happens, it seems, is that the actual assessor who's supposed to be doing it fails to do it properly. And so like I did actually ask Ryan, because that was a question I had. I'm like, okay, well, if the same assessor keeps screwing up, then are you guys revoking their certification for HITRUST? Like, are you guys going to take away their credentials? And he's like, well, we have, but yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that makes a little bit more sense. I understand the like notice of a non-compliant assessment being like, hey, you got to fix it, clean this up. I was just trying to understand the process between that HITRUST to the external assessors, as far as them basically sending it back to them on their assessment, maybe versus the actual client's compliance.
Yeah. Well, and then also HITRUST has the ability to provide a written warning to the assessor themselves, saying, "Hey, you violated this, or you failed to do this, or hey, the last 5 you've submitted have failed. Like, what the hell's going on?"
Yeah. Yeah, I remember
So,
Ryan talking about how they've had like really good relationship with external assessors. And I remember thinking when he was talking about it that if that was a little bit of like survival of the fittest type, where it was like, well, we have really good relationships with our external assessors because we kind of weeded it out to the people that are able to, continue to meet what we're looking for.
yeah. Not 90%, AB, 19.
Mm.
It's like 19%, so 1 out of 5. I think it was like 18.5% or 19.5% or something along those lines. It was nearly 1 out of 5 assessments are declined. Yeah, and like this first video is pretty introduction. I think it gives a really quick rundown. I mean, this video was like, what, 43 minutes or something? 45 minutes in length. It wasn't that long whatsoever. Just talking about the actual certification process, if it does get declined, and some of the different resources out there, and that you have to do this. Not to mention also the versioning as well, and how they are constantly updating the frameworks as well.
Yeah, that's the part I was a little intrigued. I know this was kind of more of an overview, but I'm always intrigued by like what prompts, and I remember Ryan talking about that in his discussion too, like what prompts a revision or an update,
Mm-hmm.
I think that tells you a lot about the structure of anything really, but
Well, and then also on here on the HITRUST treatment of non-compliance, so 15.10, and this is what I like to do is I'll take my notes, or even during the video I'll pause it, which is also why I can't watch videos at 2.5 times speed. And then I'll look it up and dig in deeper to it. That's just what I prefer to do, because then I just understand the topics better if I research them individually. But so treatment of non-compliance here, they do have their requirements here. Written warnings for non-compliance may be something that happens. Rejection of non-compliant assessments, remediation of non-compliant assessment, meetings between HITRUST and external assessors, firms, and leadership. So like corrective action plans, tracking and reporting of non-compliance and external assessors' performance reports. So yeah, there's quite a bit that could occur. This is like my favorite thing though. Like they did a really good job at like documenting all of this out and making this available. So, was there any other key takeaways or another section you wanted to mention? Because that pretty much covers this video on what it talked about and so forth.
yeah, I agree with you. I really like I really like when places or documentation like this define what they mean, and there's a lot of good definition throughout here. I like that idea of kind of keeping it maybe 2 different windows up and pausing it and going back and kind of seeing it. I think that'll be beneficial for myself when we get into more of the meat of it.
Yeah, and then Mad No has a question here. So I've noticed a lot of crossover between frameworks like HITRUST and some other common ones used regarding regulations and guidelines. How are all of those brought together in practice? That's one of the advantages of HITRUST in particular. Is so if you do happen to utilize HITRUST, then like what Ryan had mentioned a couple weeks ago when he presented for us, which he works with HITRUST, is that they can, when you go through the actual certification, they have their like 3 different frameworks, levels, tiers, and based on which one you go through, you can additionally bolt on extra controls that are mapped over from HIPAA or NIST CSF or 853, and it would allow you to have those already mapped out ahead of time. And they make the process for that much easier than if you were to do it manually. So if you did happen to go with HITRUST, then you can more readily just go through and it's already mapped for you. So then you can go through with your HITRUST, and then you could say, hey, you know, now I want to do HIPAA or PCI or NIST CSF, and you just download those documents for the mapping from what you already have in my CSF. Now, traditionally, in most business that doesn't use HITRUST, which there's still well more than the majority do not use HITRUST currently. But traditionally, you're just going to map those together. So if we go through and we implement NIST CSF 2.0, and then we also want to do HIPAA, for an example, well, there's also now, 866, I believe it is. I'm going to look this up. Yeah, so 866 from NIST is implementing HIPAA. And they just updated this actually recently. Like, I think there's a more recent one here. Because they just recently updated this to actually map and work with the NIST CSF. And so you would take your existing controls, you would look at what you're trying to be in compliance with, and you would map those together so that way you just save time. And then whatever the gap is between that you don't have already is what you would have to add on. If that makes any sense. I don't think we've done, well, we did a project for mapping, but I don't think we live streamed mapping controls. I know PBO's got videos on that though. I hope that kind of answers the question a little bit more. Yeah, this time of year, I just keep getting so much sunlight, and I think I'm getting sick from it. I have like vitamin D overdose or something. Yeah, of course, Madno. If you guys have any other questions or otherwise, definitely drop it in the comments below or hop into our Discord server as well. Not only myself, but dozens of other people are in there as well. So, and then also, I had mentioned PBO, so definitely check out PBO's channel. I'm going to go ahead and pull that up on the screen here too. So PBO, Professor Black Ops, he's a regular. He's been, long-term GRC Mafia for, the existence basically. And he has this YouTube channel here. He goes live every single Tuesday night. Lately, he's been talking more about AWS, but he's very much GRC. He comes from like a development background. He did like more system admin work as well. Has government background on top of that. And then, now he, does more compliance and GRC stuff. And he has this entire playlist here for government compliance for cybersecurity. This is like the meat of the pie from all of his 800 plus videos. There's 65 in here in total. And it's not really in any particular order, but you could definitely pick things out. So like CGIS is like with the FBI, that's used by a lot of law enforcement. He talked about zero trust architecture, the 800-207. And there's a bunch of other stuff in here too. STIGs, FERPA, FIPS, pharmaceutical related, like all kinds of different stuff. And more recently, he also went through and talked about controls from each of the family groups from the 853. So there's 20 different family groups, and he went through and did a video for each one. So this is definitely a really good playlist to check out. I know at one time there was like 50 hours worth of content there, and I'm sure it's way more than that. Well, AB, that would be giving away the secret. That would be giving it away. So right now we do have a post inside of our GRC Mafia. So tonight, one of the biggest reasons to show up too is not only because it's awesome and we're going to be talking about NIST and MITRE and AI and GRC and so forth, but Also, every Thursday night is our primary meeting where you can also grab your badge. And like, I'm going to go ahead and throw the command in here right now just so you guys have more of an idea what to expect. But we don't do paywalls. We don't do anything like that whatsoever. But we do have the badge hunters. So you can, if you join our Thursday primary meeting, then you can also go through and you can collect a badge for $0. All you got to do is show up and do the task, which is just putting GRC Mafia in capital letters in our live chat on our Discord server. So, and that's only active during our Thursday meeting itself. And then that does unlock a secret channel called Badge Hunters, where we just post like information leaks and so forth. You guys get information before the general public for the most part, but it's open to anybody as long as you go in and collect your weekly badge, and it resets every single week as well. You even get a badge next to your name for the next week. So, bam, GRC Mafia. Oh, I know, AB, I know. But yeah, we'll probably start bringing this to an end now. I'm going to go ahead and drop these links one more time. So next Thursday at 11 a.m. at the same time as this one, we're going to go through and we're going to talk about session 2, scoping a HITRUST assessment. So definitely bring your questions, your notes and takeaways, and then we could talk about this scoping a HITRUST assessment video into further depth as well. So there's the series itself, and then also I'm going to go ahead and drop a link to the assessment handbook too. Bam. But yeah, thank you guys for joining me today. This doesn't need to be a very long series or otherwise. It's just to bring more light to these videos themselves, and then also give us the opportunity to talk about it a little bit further. I look forward to seeing you guys later tonight. We also have our Friday AMA tomorrow at 11 a.m. on Friday. And have a great rest of your day.